It's also for me a little bit a new experience, a virtual conference. So I'm used to webinars. I'm used to standard conferences. This is a new format. And as Berthold said, I'm one of the founders of KuppingerCole, and I will talk about identity fabrics, delivering identity and access management for the digital business. So identity fabrics as the paradigm for future identity and access management, and how to leverage your existing investments to a new level. This will be the topic of my keynote today. I'll start a little with some trends. I'll go down into the details of the identity fabric, and I guarantee that I will stay on time with my keynote. One hint before I start: we have our brand new leadership compass on IGA, so the Identity Governance and Administration, available for download. You can access it by selecting this session in the app. So you need the app, download the app, go to this session, and you will have the ability then to link to our KC Plus, which is the area of KuppingerCole online, where you can access all our research, and there you will find this report. So without further ado, let's jump into the topic. And so, as I've said, I'd like to start a little bit with trends, because my perspective is that what we do as identity fabrics is very tightly aligned to what we see in the identity management trends. And one of the major trends we see, and this is a trend going well beyond identity and access management, is that everything is becoming a service. So we run software in as a service models. We also reconstruct software into, and that's a thing I touch in a minute, into services. And there's a clear shift to observe in the broader identity and access management space from traditional deployment models towards as a service model. So this is one of the important trends. And the other, which is closely aligned with this, is a shift towards a more modern software architecture. So I just recently published in my video podcast one about microservices and identity access management. And this is one of the trends we also observe. There is more towards shifting towards identity services, microservices, running this in containers, being flexible regarding the deployment models, which again relates to the as a service. It gives us the flexibility also to shift forward. We have, with that, more APIs, and there will be more access for identity services via APIs. So we will go beyond just managing applications towards providing identity services, which can be consumed by, for instance, our new digital services we built within the digital transformation. So we will have a shift towards accessing these services via APIs, and doing that for every type of identity. So we have this broader notion right now of identity and access management. When I started many years ago, it factually was employee identity management. So everything we did at the end was around the workers, the workforce. We then had consumer identity, partner identity, and factually identity must today serve devices, things, all the humans, the services, etc. So it's broader, and we need to serve this, which helps us then supporting the digital services, which are about connecting the people with their things, with their devices, etc. So again, this is all very tightly related. Some more of these trends. The way we authenticate is changing. We have this passwordless notion. So things are becoming passwordless. And this is, I think, a very important thing here with multi-factor authentication. If you haven't turned on multi-factor authentication everywhere, do so. We need to go there. It helps us against phishing. It makes things easier if you do it right, and it makes things more secure. Identity and access management still will be centered around three main pillars, which are access management, which are IGA, so the Identity Governance Administration, which are privileged access management, but there are more elements around it. So there will be more than that. Access governance will change as another important trend, and that is something which I also believe is very important. We need to go beyond just looking at entitlements on systems and applications. We need to look at data access governance. We need to use access policies across every type of access, from the device to the network, to the system, to the data. So we need to redefine that. For some of these things which are changing, when it comes to, for instance, identifying risks, identifying outliers in access, artificial intelligence definitely will help us making things better. And at the end, all of this will converge, and right now we are at the main theme, the main topic of my keynote. All this will converge into identity fabrics. So what are identity fabrics about? Identity fabrics are a high-level perspective on how we see identity and access management environments look like, how we construct it, how they are constructed, how we as a customer, and you as a customer, can construct them. So the big picture, so to speak, of identity and access management in the future. And this all starts with a very simple question, which basically is, what is identity and access management about? And when we look at this question, I start with a very simple view. You will see I'll add devices and things later on. But at the end, we have all these people, the employees, the partners, the consumers. And what identity and access management needs to enable is a very simple thing. Provide seamless yet secure access to all these services. So give everyone on the left-hand side of this picture seamless and efficient access to all the services on the right-hand side. This is basically the job of identity and access management. Give the identity access and manage it well so that it works well. The challenges are these identities are not all managed by ourselves anymore. So in the past, it was all of these identities were our own. We had them in our corporate directory. That's it. This has fundamentally changed. They come in from different sources, like they might come in as a consumer with a social network ID. They might come in the future with a decentralized ID. We will hear a lot about decentralized IDs over the course of the day. They might come in from a partner, might be federated in. There are various ways to do that. And we need to integrate in different manners with all these applications on the right-hand side. For doing so, for granting this access, we need a set of services, which are the access management services, provide access from the individual to the service, which are the administration and governance services, so manage the entitlements, have a control about who has access to what. And there are more services such as consent, such as privacy, and many more. So this is a very high-level picture, and in the middle of that, at the center of that, there's the identity fabric, which is the set of services enabling that. And what I propose and what I also see working extremely well with organizations, with customers we have discussed this concept, is this gives a good starting point for everything we do around identity and access management, thinking about what do we really need to do and look at what we really need. And when we drill down a little more into detail here, so again, and this is a little different picture, and you'll get the slide deck, so you'll be able to download the slide deck if the font might be a little too small to read, depending on your screen. Basically, we have all these different identities. And as I've already said at the beginning, this is about more than just the employees. It's more than just humans. It's all types of identities. We could add services, we could add more here, even beyond what I have in this picture. They come from different sources, they are managed in different ways, and they need access to both the modern SaaS services, the cloud services, and the services of externals, and our legacy IT in the broadest sense. So all the stuff we have up and running for a long time. So this is what we need to do. You've seen that more or less before on the previous slide. So what do we need to look at? We need to look at the capabilities. So what are the capabilities we need? And this is the next step then in defining your identity fabric. Look at what do you really need to do? What do you need first? What are your priorities? So these capabilities are derived from your use cases, are derived from your business requirements. These are, for instance, having APIs, I'll touch this in a minute, having access federation available to federate in from different types of identity providers to federate out to different types of services. Having lifecycle management, having access governance, having privilege management, having delegated administration, whatever else. And there's a good reason in the lower right edge, there's the more, which means there are way more options for capabilities. So there's no super fixed list. There are apparently ways to come up with the list of capabilities, to prioritize them. You might go, I don't have this in this slide deck because it would take too much time to go into detail, but if you look at our KuppingerCole identity management reference architecture, this gives you a good starting point, for instance, for which capabilities might be relevant to prioritize them, to identify them. So these capabilities then are delivered by services. Services are logical, still a logical perspective. So these are the services delivering the to the capabilities required based on technology. And you there might look at what do you have, what is lacking. So this helps you then identifying where are your gaps, what do you need to add, what do you already have. And in a modern identity fabric, apparently these technologies, which are then building the foundation for what we do here, need to be also delivered in a modern architecture. There's apparently, and I'll touch this also in a minute, there's a migration path. There's a way to go from what you have to where you should be in future. But my expectation on a modern identity fabric apparently is that we deliver it in a modern architecture. So based on microservices which are delivered in containers, which provide consistent set of APIs, and which also enables us, if we follow these architectural paradigms, to operate such technology in a relatively flexible manner. So we can run parts maybe in our data center or in a public cloud. We might go hybrid with the entire identity fabric. So the more important thing is really here architecture, modern architecture, flexible deployment support, hybrid support behind what we do in this identity fabric. So we construct this picture, and this is then what really helps us delivering the capabilities in defined sets of services based on technology, and the capabilities will remain the same even if we change technologies. Apparently, there's the need to support what you have. So you have a lot of applications, a lot of tools already out there, and these must be supported. These must be supported either by directly integrating your identity fabric via the connectors that come with the technologies you use, via whichever type of custom integration you do into existing applications, or indirectly with what you already have in identity management. So this allows you then, this I think is a very important thing, to have a very smooth migration path where you continue running what you have and gradually shift to new services. So it's not a rip and replace approach. It's really a gradual migration, which allows you to support what you have as well as what you want to have, what you're getting now. And this is on the upper part of this picture. We are using more and more SaaS service, which we need to support with somewhat different type of integration. So the way we integrate with SaaS services frequently is slightly different from the way we integrate with traditional on-premises solutions. So we have, again, the need to integrate more wire standards such as OAuth, such as SCIM, to these services. We also need to support and manage some of the digital services we build. But, and this is even more important maybe, we also are able to support a fundamental paradigm shift we are experiencing in identity and access management these days. So IAM for many, many years, for most of the time we had identity management, was targeted at managing applications. So we write entitlements, we push users into an application. So we manage the applications. However, in the digital transformation, we have this shift from sort of outside into the application to from inside the application out to the identity management system. This is the total opposite direction of communication we are looking at it. It is we provide an identity service to an external application, which could be the new app we are constructing in the digital transformation, which could be the new application, the new portal, whatever we build as a digital service. And this is super essential for the time to value in digital transformation. If we need to reinvent identity and security with every new digital service, we will lose speed. We will not only lose speed, we will have far too high cost. We will have, at the end, a negative, not good enough user experience, because then registration here would look different than here. Authentication will look different. We need to build against an API layer. We need to do it from that perspective in a very different manner. So we need to expose these services, and based on the architecture I've talked about, we come with these APIs and we have the ability to provide an API layer to the new world of digital services we are constructing within the digital transformation. And being fast on that never has been as important as in these days, where many businesses are really challenged by the gaps they have in digital transformation. So we need to speed up, and this only will work when we work against defined layers of identity services, of security services, and the like. So what the identity fabric does is it combines this agility. It factually leads to a bimodal approach. It has the agility and it has the integration support for what you have. It balances these two worlds and helps you integrating what you have and moving forward at your speed, with focusing on which are the capabilities you need first, which are the integrations you need first, and gradually moving to a consistent approach across all areas of identity management. So not here a little bit privileged access, here a little bit IGA, here a little bit that. This is the big picture for everything. This is your future identity fabric. And our experience and our strong belief is that this approach helps you very much in moving forward towards a modern, future-proof identity management. So to come to an end, so my final slide is about what constitutes an identity fabric. So I tried to put together the 5 essential characteristics of an identity fabric. The first status, it is a unified approach for all types of identities and for all types of services. It is not only employee identity lifecycle management, it is all types of identities, to the things, to the devices, to the services, consumers, customers, whatever, and all types of services within identity management. So it's not only lifecycle or IGA, not only access management, it's the comprehensive architecture for your future identity management. This is where you can start and then start constructing and looking at which project, which step to do first. And it also allows you to gradually, in small steps, move forward. It's a paradigm and a concept, and it's not a tool. So there is no single identity fabric tool in the sense of I buy that tool and I'm done. You need technology, and there's technology which fits far better to this paradigm than some other technology. But first, it is a concept, it's a paradigm, it's a tool, a paradigm, it's a concept, not a tool. And from there, you end up then in your tooling, in what you need. It builds on APIs and microservices. So this all is about modern APIs, modern architecture, modern deployment models. It is a comprehensive set of capabilities beyond also the traditional key elements within identity and access management. And that is something I believe is very important from a conceptual perspective. It helps you segregating your requirements and use cases from the capabilities, from the services and the technology. So you can start with your requirements and your use cases and then move forward. And you apparently also can add new requirements, use cases by adding capabilities, by adding services within this framework of the identity fabric. With that, I'm at the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening to this opening keynote of our first KuppingerCole virtual conference, our first virtual event.